Welcome. Welcome to this next lecture of scales. In last lecture, we just take an introduction of scales. What is scales? है ना? Then what is scale? So we already learned that what is scale. Scale is a ratio. Ratio in which we reduce the distance or we can enlarge the distance. Then on the basis of that we have to construct a scale. So today we take classification of scale. Now how we classify the scales? See, if we learn two things, one is ratio and another is scale. So definitely classification is of two types, either by ratio or by units. So unit is, I think, very familiar word. You know unit. In your scale, if you know, there are two units. The scale you are using, that have two units. One is centimeter and another is millimeter. So millimeter and centimeter are units. Okay. Now ratio. We last time already discussed that if we want to draw some large pictures like drawing of building, drawing of machines, drawing of map. Suppose you want to draw a map and in that map the distances are in kilometers. So how we can draw? We take a ratio. So I start from here. We take a ratio. Now what is this ratio called? This ratio is called representative fraction. Now, what is representative fraction? We first look what is representative fraction and what is the use of this. Then we classify on the basis of this. So, representative fraction is length on drawing upon actual length. As we discussed in last time, that length on drawing, if suppose we want to draw 10 kilometer length, so we assume that 10 kilometer is equal to 10 centimeter. So we draw 10 centimeter and the actual length is 10 kilometer. So we find RF.
So length
Okay.
length पूरा length.
So on the basis of RF, I am going to classify the scale. Now how we classify the scale on the basis of RF? So first thing, we have to reduce the distance. So that scales are called reducing scale. Reducing scales, in which we have to draw the big drawings, just like machines, buildings, maps, etc. So if you want to draw the drawing of big objects, then you have to reduce the length. So that scales are called reducing scale. Okay. Now like this, we can enlarge the distance also. Now just think, for which type of object we have to enlarge the distance. For example, if you want to draw the drawing of very small particles, for example, particle of watch, electronic parts, ICs, like this. So if you want to draw the drawing of very small objects, then we have to enlarge the distance. That scales are called enlarging scale. Enlarging scales. And you know that you have available a scale of maximum 30 centimeter length. So if you have to draw the objects up to 30 centimeter length in actual length, so that scale is called full size scale. that scale is called full size scale. Now just think about the RF of these scales. See, reducing scale. In reducing scale, the length on drawing is less than the actual length. Actual length are greater than length on drawing. So this RF is definitely less than 1. So we just think about this, that RF is less than 1. But that's all. This is sufficient. Only remember this thing, that RF is less than 1. Now think about enlarging scale. In enlarging scale, the objects are small and the length on drawing is greater. Means the RF is always greater than 1. Now just think about what is the RF of full size scale. The RF of full size scale is 1. Means whatever the length of object, we have to draw that length only. Okay, so these 3 types of scales are used, and this is classification of scale on the basis of RF. Remember this thing. Now another classification on the basis of units. Now just think about this. How you see in your life only 2 unit scale. That is, one is centimeter and millimeter scale. This is your conventional available scale. And if you see the meter scale is in meter, and one more unit, that is 1/10 of meter, is decimeter. Now what is the use of different units? For example, if I say we require 3 units, so what is the use of 3 units? So just think about that. What is the use of 3 units? Now see, if you want to measure 1.2 anything, either it is 1.2 meter or it is 1.2 centimeter, means 1 is centimeter and 2 is millimeter. If meter, 1 is meter and 2 is decimeter. So this is the use of 2 units. Now what is the use of 3 units? If you want to measure 1.22, now how you can measure this? 1.22 means what? If we say meter, so what do you mean by 1.22 meter? 1 is meter, this 0.2 is decimeter, and this 0.02 is centimeter. So we have to construct a scale of 3 units for measuring 1.22. So this is the use of different units. So on the basis of units, we can classify the scale. Now how we can classify the scale? On the basis of units. Now if in your scale there are 2 units, just we discussed earlier, 2 units, that scale is called plane scale. Plane scale. Now you can easily understand that whatever the scale you are using now is a plane scale, because that having 2 units. Now another classification, that is, if your scale having 3 units, if your scale having 3 units, then the scale is called diagonal scale. Diagonal scale. So we changing the units. This is 2 unit, this is 3 unit. Now one more scale. This you already know. that is called vernier scale. Vernier scale. The least count of vernier scale is suppose 0.01, means we can measure in vernier scale also 3 units. This is the main unit. Okay. So vernier scale is another type of scale, but the construction of this scale is different. Now one more scale. If you think about it, you know protector. Now what is the unit of protector? What is the use of protector? The use of protector is to measure angle, and angle is measured in degrees. So if you construct a scale for measuring angle, so this is another type of unit. So it is called scale of chords. Scale of chords. Scale of chords. So this is the classification of scale on the basis of unit. Plain scale is used for 2 units. Diagonal scale is used for 3 units, and vernier scale is also used for 3 units, but the principle of diagonal and vernier are different. That we will discuss in the scale construction. And the last classification is scale of chords. In scale of chords, we can use degrees or angles. Okay? So this is the complete classification of scale. Now in next lecture, we start from here plain scale. Okay? So I think this is sufficient for today. Bye.